Hello and welcome back. In this Black Excellist presentation, we will shine a spotlight on the practice of code switching.
Welcome to blackexcellist.com, the site where we share Black excellence, opulence, and affluence. Our mission is to inspire you as we enlighten you.
Hey, hello. Mr. Davison, Cassius Green here. Sorry to bother.
Let me give you a tip. You want to make some money here? Use your white voice.
My white voice?
I'm not talking about Will Smith's wife, like this young blood.
Hey, Mr. Kramer. This is Langston from Regalview.
Code switching is an age-old practice that is familiar to many Black people here in the United States. When it was first coined in 1954, it was to describe language alternation, or the mixing of two or more languages or dialects. Today, however, code switching is not only the ability of a person to switch between communication styles, but it can also mean the practice of adjusting one's style of clothes, appearance, mannerisms, hairstyles, music, and expressions in a way that will optimize the comfort of others in exchange for acceptance, fair treatment, quality service, employment opportunities, and sometimes physical survival.
As always, we'll be getting that out to you right away.
You're doing so good with the voice.
At times, we may feel that code switching is something that white culture and predominantly white classrooms, especially corporate America, demand of us. And at other times, we feel that it may be necessary to code switch in an environment where negative stereotypes of Black people run counter to what is considered appropriate behaviors and norms around family members or friends. Code switching is trying to mirror the audience you're facing to make sure you'll be understood, but also filtering your ideas and expression of thought into a form that's more digestible. It means having to repress part of yourself or your culture, or taking on a different persona to not appear or sound too urban or as a threat. Code switching takes place anywhere there are behavioral practices or a visual profile associated with the identity. This includes cultural identity, religious identity, political identity, social class, or even sexual identity. It is an implicit requirement for fitting into a space so heavily saturated with white peers, colleagues, and American citizens. It may not be talked about much, but code switching is something that many African Americans are faced with on the daily, and oftentimes even do subconsciously. But what does it look like? For Black people, it's a constant shift between AAVE and White Standard English. AAVE is the acronym for African American Vernacular English, or sometimes it's referred to as BEV, Black English Vernacular. You know what I'm talking about. Terms like lit, bougie, ratchet, basic, period, slay, or woke. These are the types of words that when used in a corporate or a formal setting, you are stereotyped to be ghetto, uneducated, poor, and even violent. However, when Caucasians use these terms in the workplace, they are deemed cool and edgy. On the flip side of the coin, when Black Americans are articulate or eloquent, they are accused of talking white. This is the voice that you find yourself using on your Zoom calls, talking with customer service, or placing a fast food order at the drive-thru. But why is it done? Black employees or students with higher career aspirations for leadership and promotion opportunities actively avoid displaying what may be considered Black stereotypes than those employees who have little to no interest in moving up the ladder. As we are making a name for ourselves in our careers, Black employees work twice as hard to avoid the lazy stigma. Black women are extra careful not to be labeled the angry Black woman. Black employees also find themselves dressing more business professional, even in a more casual professional environment. We feel that this is all necessary to earn that promotion we seek or the salary goals we pursue. Black Americans downplay their blackness or fake shared interests with dominant group members in an attempt to fit in. The setting may be professional, casual, or even recreational. Black Americans may feel a need to fit into the work culture, a sports team, or some type of social membership. Code switching will come in the form of socializing, laughing, and joking with people whom you normally would not. Black Americans may censor or water down their views, thoughts, or even their personality to be embraced by their white colleagues. Code switching also involves the constant preparation for potential discrimination and mistreatment, especially if you feel that you're constantly judged or under the magnifying glass. This may be the result of coworkers and teammates feeling your sole presence is representative of the entire Black culture. You can find yourself constantly and actively aware of your mannerisms to ensure that you don't portray yourself in a negative light or misrepresent your entire race. Or you may be in a position where you feel that you are in a make or break position based on how your coworkers or managers perceive your behavior, not just your job performance. Vigilance becomes a day-to-day coping mechanism where you either anticipate or dismiss jokes or negative comments from Caucasians and simply adapt to the discomfort and ignorance in order to maintain workplace peace or the job itself. Interacting with police is a clear example where code switching can be literally the difference between life or death. Since both Black and white police officers have a negative perception of African Americans, especially young Black males, code switching is an extremely effective way of alleviating some of the anxiety that the officer may have. When parents give their kids the talk, guidelines imploring them to act, speak, and behave a certain way when pulled over by the police. Yeah, that's right out of the code switching playbook. Code switching is absolutely necessary to survive certain police interactions. Acting polite and respectful, avoiding running even if you are afraid, stay quiet even if you're defending yourself, and resisting the natural instinct of protecting yourself when being mishandled is one of the most popular forms of code switching, and one that may one day prevent you from being another statistic at the hands of a racist. A handful of African American academics are highlighting the social and psychological repercussions of code switching, noting that previous research has shown it can lead to health issues and cause emotional stress. For many Black people, constantly focusing on changing themselves to make white people feel comfortable can be exhausting and unhealthy. And while it is frequently seen as crucial for professional advancement, code switching often comes at a great psychological cost. Myles Durkee, who is an assistant professor of psychology at the University of Michigan and has done extensive research on racial code switching. His research has found that Black professionals who tend to code switch more frequently also report significantly more workplace fatigue and burnout. Putting on a show and taking on a completely different personality for the workplace throughout the day can be mentally and psychologically draining. Not only does it reduce authentic self-expression, but it certainly has its mental health consequences. Code switching can cause people to not be fully present in the moment while in the boardroom or classroom because they are monitoring their words and body language. This is very exhausting and traumatic for African Americans. The constant internal monologue telling a person that they are not smart enough or white enough to thrive in the workplace, classroom, or in society can and will affect a person's performance. Black Americans sometimes feel like they're taking off a costume when they finally arrive home after a long day at work or out in the world. When the performance is over, either you're awarded for assimilating or you're exposed for being an imposter. It's never a positive experience. Durkee's research proves that it's not only the mental effects, but the physiological effects of code switching on individuals. When we force individuals to code switch when it doesn't come natural to them, it's now a stressor, says Durkee. It's a stress we're putting on people from marginalized identities. In conclusion, although most code switching is done voluntarily, it has a tremendous emotional impact. But it ties back our roots here in this country. African Americans were brought here having to create our own culture and language in order to find our place. Adaptation was necessary for both survival and success. Code switching is Black people's way of making it in a world where they can navigate between the demands of white people and the needs of their own. If leaders, managers, and instructors are truly seeking to promote inclusion and address social inequality, they must begin by understanding why a segment of their workforce, classroom, or body believes that they cannot truly be themselves within the organization. And for those of us who have to code switch in order to navigate through a white-dominated world, just remember that finding common ground with others is not harmful in and of itself. It becomes harmful if you have to deny your own sense of identity in order to do so.
We appreciate the fact that you stayed with us until the end. Thank you for spending time with us, and don't forget to like this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so that you never miss a video. Bye for now. We will see you tomorrow.